They always make sure, by and large, they shower, and they just have um, an amazing smell to them in general.
I figure we're gonna start this one off with the bang. Morning, fellas. That's never gonna get old for me. Welcome to Red Morning for the day. You know the deal. Don't eat paint, that sort of thing. Oh, geez, a busy chat. All right, let me switch it over to live chat so I can see all you guys. Turns out I've been on top chat this whole time, completely missing about a third of your guys' comments and stuff, except for the super chat stuff. Luckily, they give that a nice big fancy color that my goofy patriarch eyes can actually see it. Good morning, all. Hope you're doing your workouts and that. I did mine last night, so this morning is just going to be a coffee and sitting down, relaxing day. I think it's like the best post-workout shake is like a martini. A lot of electrolytes with the brine, you know? Oh, 3 and 3. Yeah, that's a classic clip. So I don't know. It's if you guys haven't been, I've been on TikTok lately. I'm gonna get to the topic here. It's gonna be very important, but I figure let's do some bants. Let's start with some banter. Let's start with an introduction bant. Bants with a Z, where we can have a little bit of fun because it's something. And you know what? Actually, it's actually part of the content of the topic today is that so many guys, for some reason, associate being in a space of men talking online about men things, and they think I have to scowl and be boring and talk aggressive and puff my chest, or I have to be ultra sensitive and talk about women and feelings and just act like it's Oprah's book club. And I'm thinking, why don't we just have some fun? Have some fun, be a little lewd, be a little crude, say the things you can't say when you're at work at the office because Deborah from HR decides that that's not healthy conversation. Well, you know what? Screw you, Deborah. I'm on Ryan's channel now. Anyways, fellas, Ryan needs to talk about retention. Yeah, the whole thing. So the topic today is on the problems with the red pill trademark. They actually will surprise you because they're not what you think. The hell is he talking about? Didn't you just get on a guy, put him on blast on TikTok for that? It's like, yes. If you actually haven't seen it, I did. There was this goofball. The red pill will make you angry. I don't know if Rolo's very empathetic, and Sam Botta sounds like a bitch. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. You don't go after my boy Sam. Sam owes his book to that thing. He's the happiest guy I've ever seen, and his dog is a goddamn wonderful dog. Like, I refuse to put up with this shit. But it's going to be more than just the red pill trademark, because that's going to be easy fan service with you guys, man. Easy fan service. Just sit here and make fun of like your champion kickboxers and your white claw masculinity, which I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm confident about it. Or the 25-year-old semen retention guy, which those aren't really red pill anyway. That's more just generic manosphere. But no, there's going to be some real stuff in here too. So let me get those chat windows over here so I can actually read you guys. But yeah, it's just fun. To be fair, like if this channel was bigger, I could see myself just trying to get like a man show vibe to it. Just hire chicks in bikinis to start telling you guys, hey, Pergamy doesn't care. Good. Oh, enjoy yourselves. Again, merch store, store.ryanstone.com. Don't eat paint. Feel free to enjoy it if that's your thing. Probably going to be taking these down in the next couple months. We have a contest on the second channel. That's Digital Ryan. Check for it on YouTube. I'll put a link in the chat too. Oops. YouTube.com. If that's your thing, contest is going to be happening, I think it's end of next week, and at that point somebody's winning some free merch. It's a lot of fun. It's goofiness, it's games, it's having a bit of a lighthearted jab and romp at the whole sphere thing. Anywho, so what the hell's the problem with the manosphere? What are you talking about? Well, it's not the manosphere. The manosphere is full of idiots. I hate to say it, but Clary rants about it all the time, but he's not wrong. Like, this space is just horrible. And I don't mean that in like, I'm too good for this stuff. I mean, no, it's literally horrible. You got 25-year-olds that are like, hey, man, I need a side hustle, so let me just steal these platitudes, masculine platitudes. Meanwhile, I haven't lifted since I was 16. Broken link. Oh, that's right. You know what it is? You don't add the S in there, and it doesn't like you. But yeah, and Jack, it brings up the point. That's everybody has that. The fitness space is the same thing, full of grifters and guys who don't know what they're doing, who claim from the rooftops they are. Female empowerment networks, all the same thing. And it's kind of just, you just realize like the manosphere is not trash, it's people are trash. So that's like, I'm like, that's like low hanging fruit. I would rather deal with some big stuff. So we're actually probably going to go into some older things, which will be kind of nice. I might even bring up some names that you've never heard of. So whatever, you're being dyslexic. I absolutely am not dyslexic, sir. Oh, ha. That's the problem. It's my fat fingers. It's not the typing. All right, third attempt to promote my shit. Digital. Bam! Nailed it, finally. Thing about the fast, easy bucks is they're not fast nor easy. But again, that's still not what I'm talking about. I don't really care. You want to make money with the red pill. There's ways to do that. And I'm not saying there's like moral ways or immoral ways, because like as much as I shit on the kickboxing twins there. Hey, do you guys remember the 80s? There was an 80s movie or action stars. They were twins. I'm trying to remember what their names were. No, I don't want to watch the Tom Hanks one. But they were like some really... Oh, there it is. These guys. All right. There we are. Yeah. Double Trouble, 1986 or whatever. Where's the stupid guys' names? Son of a bitch. IMDb doesn't show actors anymore. It's like, hey, what do you think I'm on here for? Oh yeah, Peter and David Paul. The bodybuilding, martial art, mullet-facing twins that were always in like action movies from the 80s. It was just hilarious. Oh man, that's too funny. Hey, what's good, Sahir? Sar? Lost in the Wild is good. A lot of you guys don't get a chance to watch these. It's because I put it on at like 8 in the or 9 in the morning here. So a lot of you guys in the West Coast are kind of 6 in the morning. So yeah, it's made for people who have things to do during the day and they tend to wake up early on the weekends. Anywho. Oh, what was I saying? Oh yeah, that like, you know, acting red pill doesn't necessarily mean that you're a good red pill brand. But again, that's not what I'm talking about. All right, you've hinted at for the last 15 minutes what we ain't talking about. So what we are talking about. Wrong with RP. Well, I'm going to dance around the subject a little more. So what's wrong with the red pill? You're going to get two types of situations. You're going to get the people that are telling you what's wrong, that have no idea what they're talking about, and they're projecting their own things onto you. And you're going to get things that are wrong from the inside and an insider's perspective. So first off, I'm going to love this. It's a Royce post. It's probably the best one ever. It's called The Unbearable Triteness of Hating. I'll put a link on it. You can read it along if you want to. Now, keep in mind, this is 2010. This is 12 years ago, dude. 12 years ago. I don't know how old Royce is now, but I'm assuming at the time he was probably late 20s, maybe early 30s, something like that. So he'd probably be pushing 50 now, but doesn't matter. And he noticed this. 3 years doing a blog, wearisome predictability on the types of hate. Unoriginal uniformity of hate is this most intriguing feature, and it makes one wonder whether humans come pre-installed with mindware that execute in scripted patterns. He's basically talking about the NPC meme 10 years before it became like internet famous. Well, see, Chin, that's like a misunderstanding of the term blue and red pill. You're assuming red pill means good, blue pill means bad. At that point, you might as well just swap a religion out for it. Godliness is alpha and devilness is beta. And again, it's really missing it. Anyways, so the not, oh, actually, you know what? We'll change this title to Problems with the Red Pill from a Blue Pill Perspective. This is the most cringy, nerdy jargon ever. I'm like, yes, it is. But that's all right. We're going with it. He talks about the bitter hate. Like, you're just a bitter misogynist. And he goes, he translates. It's like, yeah, your words make me weep from every pore. And it's the same thing. It's like, I'm mad. I was on a Twitter space. I've only done 2. One with this group. And there was this chick, Radfem Hitler. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. Already lets you know that you're in for just a pleasant, cordial time. And remember, at some point, just talking about dinner dates, she just flat out admits, like, you are the most offensive guy ever, and you're literally making me angry. And I said, okay. Because, like, yeah, you call somebody a bitter misogynist, it's like, okay, you're allowed to feel whatever. I think Christopher Hitchens used to say it, where it was like, your thin-skinned indignation is not my moral imperative. He probably worded it better. That's probably Sam Harris or some nerd shit like that. But yeah, like, you don't like me. Okay. What do you want me to do with that? You voiced an opinion and it happens. And then the next one's like, nobody who writes the horrible things you do could possibly do well with women. And this goes back to, if you haven't seen me on TikTok, when the guy was like, I know Rolo is married, and I'm trying to do his voice. It's hard. It sounds like I'm just doing a stereotypical lisp, and I promise I'm not. He really does sound like a weenie version of Cernovich. I can't do it, though. You have to wonder, even though he's married, I wonder how empathetic he really is. And so it's like admitting, like, oh, he writes this great stuff. How could he possibly do well with his wife? How could he possibly be that? And he goes... And then I like how Royce puts it. So, like, back in Genghis Khan's days, haters were known to remark that nobody who crushes as many enemies as you do could possibly do well with women. Again, it's because somebody else has no idea how things work. Like asking a 6-year-old, how does the nuclear plant work? There's no way anybody wearing that much gear on them can possibly survive a nuclear attack. And you're like, all right, whatever. And then there's the trad one, real alpha males will be married and raising his children as his legacy. And he's like, so in other words, like your alphaness, basically your goodness or godness, required to marry the girl and knock her up is minimal. And the requirement to avoid the raw deal of marriage and fun-hindering ballast of children while enjoying loving women. It's like, sniff my jockstrap. Again, it's all people like projecting their insecurities, their value systems, their ethics on you, and then using goofy terms like alpha male to like try and persuade you. I've talked before about container words, where a container word is you take a bunch of feelings, throw them into a box, tape the box up, write a word on top of it, and that's a container word. You throw it at somebody's feet, you expect them to use that based on your definitions, but their box has their own. So when you get some kind of like conservative, Christian, traditional, conservative male, ultra conservative, they're going to say alpha male, and all that means is to be like a nice dad who doesn't disrespect mom and retires her from working, and she's a stay-at-home mom, and it's the nuclear family because the cigarette ad told me so. And you're just like, that has nothing to do with the concept. Like, I don't know. I have to do like another 10 videos basically describing what the heck alpha means in the red pill, because everybody has gotten it wrong and decided to insert their nonsense into it. And then I don't know what to think of this one, because it's kind of like I'm almost on the side of others, where you argue a false alpha beta dichotomy. And then his response is like, what part of dregs, lesser omega, lesser beta, beta, greater beta, lesser alpha, alpha, super alpha, don't you understand? And I think he's referencing Vox on this one. I'm pretty sure. Oh no, it's his own post on defining the alpha male. Look, this stuff is old, so descriptions have kind of solidified over time. If you've learned nothing else from this channel and you want to do any of the red pill stuff that we talk about, and you're more than welcome to. You don't have to. You can just be here for entertainment or to watch me pull a gaff and an N-bomb. I don't care. Understand that alpha is just a placeholder. Anything that makes a girl attracted to you, anything that makes her wet, alpha. Alpha is not a male. It's not a behavior. It's not an archetype. It's a behavior set. It's a quality set. Being tall, alpha. Being aloof, alpha. Some of the dark triad characteristics, alpha. Being good at game, alpha. You get it? Sexually assertive, alpha. All that kind of stuff. Anything that makes a girl want to sleep with you, alpha. Beta, anything that makes a girl comfortable and want to stay with you long term. Orgasms, beta. Hey, what's up, Torsh? Murky, you too. Yeah, so, but then this old Omega thing, that was Vox Day. He snuck in here with his, like, botany of male archetype thing, which has really muddied the waters. And I kind of, like, I like some of his work, but I really don't like that. And of all the things. The only thing that good that came of it is gamma males, which, unfortunately, is almost identical to guys with narcissistic personality disorder. So, but gamma male's catchy, so here we are. So yeah, gamma is just for guys who are like extreme unhealthy narcissists. The omega thing is just like incels or black pills. But that's the point. You got all these like cringy jargon terms, and the part I don't like about it is this is a conversation about fucking. If you're in the red pill, conversations about fucking. In a relationship, single, whatever. So inviting people in that don't fuck causes so many problems. So many problems. So that's why I don't like the idea of gammas. And I mean, it's good to know, but I wouldn't dwell on them too much. And then he brings up the part where, well, in wolf packs, the alpha male is blah, and they basically describe the biology version of alpha male, what they use in a clinical sense, and it's like, for crying out loud, dude. That'd be like, so like alpha is a very common Greek word. It's used in a lot of things. You can say alpha male in the same way that like a scientist studying wolf packs would do, where it's like the gorillas, where this one's the biggest and the strongest, whatever. But like that makes no difference. Why not just talk about alpha as in the electromagnetic frequency carrier wave of a telecommunications channel? There's the alpha wave and the delta wave. Are you saying guys are able to carry the primary signal for the primary carrier wave for a cell phone tower? Come on, dude. Like, fuck. I don't know what to tell them. And then this one that makes me laugh too. Alphas don't blog or make YouTube videos. They're too busy meeting women. That one always makes me laugh because it's like, everybody has a hobby. And it just so happens that some guys have hobbies that involves talking about talking about sleeping with women or sorting out relationships or whatever goofiness we do. Heck, how many guys play Warhammer 2000 is there, or 20,000 is there as their hobby? How many alpha males fix cars? It's not even a thing, but you know what I mean. Guys have all kinds of hobbies, and the idea is the hobby taking away like your ability to do certain things. It's just an asinine comment, but you realize these aren't like real critiques. They're just attack vectors. And so there's a lesson for you guys at the end here, which we'll get to that. The politicals, the personal hate. Oh yeah, the true alpha lives his life and does not neurotically obsess about his status on an internet blog. Which is weird because anybody who's ever talked about you wanting to be like the king dick of the red pill, or I think Mr. Presidente of Autism Spear did the same thing at one point. He kept just saying I was riding Rolo's coattails. It's like, I'm not sure why this whole like neurotic obsession with status became a guy thing. That's such a chick thing. For a guy's thing, you just want to do things. As much as I would love to be the top of the manosphere pile. it's like winning the Paralympics. I can run faster than that guy with one leg. It's like, is that something you want to flex about? Not really. Back to the guy from TikTok, though, and he talks about how, game and stuff works well for low esteem or low value women. First off, every time I hear high value women and low value women, I think of female dating strategy, and I am surprised how quickly somebody took the red pill, took away all the benefits, added just as much misogyny for the other side, and slapped some tits on it, and all of a sudden it's like the greatest thing ever. But whatever. But yeah, it's always false premises, right? Everybody assumes there's low value women and high value women, like Morlocks and Eloy. There's a literary reference for you, Morlocks and Eloy. And it's like, chicks are chicks, women are women. Like we got one in the chat. There's Torsia there, right? Is she a high value woman or low value women? It's like, the fuck does that even mean? She made good girlfriend material? I don't know. Try dating her. Get back to me. Let me know. Marty's a high value woman, exactly. Jack actually has it right. A lot of the times those disclaimers are just saying like if the girl wants you or not. And at least back in the 80s and 90s, if a girl didn't want you, you would just man up, call her a lesbian, and then high five your bros afterwards about how you could do better anyway. You didn't have to build this entire value system around why Stacy decided not to touch your dick, right? And this is one of the ones, actually, I was going to expand on a little more later. It's like you live an empty existence if all you do is have one-night stands with sluts. And this is like the prodigal son shit you see with like Goldman, Cernovich, Roosh, where all of a sudden they realize that like sex was fun, but if you make it your whole way of being, it just doesn't work. And I could say that for anything. You make yourself a competitional, or what do they call them? Competitive eaters. Eventually you're going to get sick of eating all day and you're only going to want to eat good food. I'm tired of eating hot dogs all day. It's like, no shit. If you're going to sit here and smoke an entire pack of cigarettes, don't tell me that all of a sudden your lungs hurt. It's like, what do you expect is going to happen? But it's never people that have like healthy sex lives that always talk about meaningless sex. It's like the most obvious cope. Drives me nuts. I mean, it doesn't drive me nuts anymore, but it's a phrase. So if I start talking about like an emotional reaction to stuff, just realize I'm using some creative flair here because I got to entertain you guys for 2 hours and you are a ravenous group. Ravenous group. I can never make you all happy. In fact, Marty's building a nice fucking shit in the chat right now. Hmm. Yeah, Tucker Max too. It's like I could go down the list, but the last thing I want to do is the Rolo thing where I can bring up like Matt Hussey stories every day. I'm like, I'm over it. So I'll give you some vague descriptors, but fill in the blanks. I'm sure guys are so predictable and cookie cutter and one dimensional that anytime I mention anything on here, in your mind, if you've been around, you can probably name a half dozen guys off the top of your head. And if you haven't, that's probably a good thing. And then he brings up the rape thing, and I'm like, whatever. When all you have is a desecrated, dusty muff, the whole world looks like an unwelcome phallus. Works for me. A guy who spends his life obsessing how to get women is a loser. I always like that one. Because it's like, guys get obsessed about all kinds of things. You're going to love it. And this is actually a Taoist thing. I'm going to talk about the... Actually, you know what? We'll do the Royce thing, and then I'll spew my little philosophical Taoist rant here. You know, a guy obsessing over the corporate ladder to get more attention from women's a loser. A guy who spends the time of mastering a guitar and playing in a rock band is just a loser. A guy who obsesses over pursuing financial rewards and getting resources to get more attention is a loser. It's like, you get the point. Apparently obsessing about anything that you don't like makes me a loser, and things you do like. But there was this great, it's a Taoist thing, and this is about as philosophical as I'm going to get in you guys here, because we're talking about our dicks. How fancy do you want to get, really? Like, really? Really? When you do something, do it. Do it, engage in it, be as obsessive as you want to be about it, and that's fine. If you're using it at the expense of other things, well, if those other things are kind of important, then you probably shouldn't, and you walk it back. It's like a Greek proverb, nothing too much. Everybody says the Greek proverb is everything in moderation, but it's not. It's like nothing too much. Totally different. Everything in moderation means you never get to obsess about anything. But yeah, you got to obsess about certain things. I'm sure anybody here who's ever been in flow state when they're working and you like forget the outside world exists, you're coding, you're writing, you're sending emails, you're in a meeting, you're sending a speech, and the whole world just kind of gets like that tunnel vision, and you're obsessing about something, and you're really good at it, because most people don't obsess about anything. In fact, most people can't even focus on something for any length of time without staring at their phone. So the fact that even you're doing that is a good thing. Even if it's playing World of Warcraft. I mean, there's professional WoW players that are killing it, earning bank. So yeah, but here's the thing. Then eventually you're not gonna be as interested in it anymore, because you're gonna obsess about it. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get to a point of mastery that you're comfortable with, and maybe you'll enjoy it, and maybe you'll move on, and that's fine too. You're supposed to move on. And I don't understand why guys do this thing where instead of just moving on, they have to now admit that the past was a mistake. This was a mistake. I never should have done this. I'm going to burn Daybang because my legacy needs to be about this, I don't know, Orthodox, whatever Roosh did. I don't even know. I'm something about Jesus, his sister dying, and a new merch product launch. I don't know. It's like, dude, obsess about things, and then when you get tired of it, move on to another thing. That's how life works. Every 5 years of my life, I've been telling you guys this, every 5 years of my life, if I looked back and told that guy what I'm doing today, that guy would have slapped me in the mouth and told me to shut up and stop lying. Every 5 years of my life. And I'm not some brand new Zoomer that's living in like the apocalypse where it's the gig economy and shit like that. It's like, no, that's just how life works. Unless you're the boring guy who's been doing the same thing for 20 years. And then it's no wonder why you're following assholes on the internet for entertainment, because your life is so boring. I just need guys to start a boxing match and then cancel it at the last minute. I need to watch the 500th ABBA and Preach video about why Fresh and Frit are assholes, but we're not trying to start any drama. It's like, what do you expect? I get it. And then there's the hater one. Naturals get women because they aren't trying to get them. And Royce pretty much puts it the best. After many years of practice, I'm sure it looked like Beethoven wasn't trying when he played the piano. A natural is a guy who simply internalized game. The tactics remain the same. Absolutely true. That's why I like using bicycle riding as my reference to like game. Called pickup in game, like the training wheels for the soul, right? And yeah, if you're 13 years old, you were the biggest guy in class and all the 16-year-old girls were all over you, you're going to learn a lot of stuff that you probably wouldn't have learned if you're the nerd in high school that nobody liked. Yes, it's a bit of a cliched thing here, but yeah. And so you'll learn this stuff early. And then you will learn it to the point where it's just kind of natural behavior, because if you do something enough times, like I said, when you ride your bike, you're not thinking about left pedal, right pedal, turn left, turn right. You just kind of point in a direction and go, right? But if you've never ridden a bike before, yeah, you're thinking, okay, left pedal, then right pedal, keep a certain speed, don't lean this way, don't lean that way. keep your butt on the seat, lean forward, put your leg down when you start to slow down, like all the little timings and stuff. And yeah, if you're talking to like a professional cyclist and you're like, okay, so when you pedal, do you push or do you pull on the pedals to get them up? And the guy's like, I don't fucking know. Just pedal, dude. It's like that old meme about how to draw an owl. And it's always brought up anytime somebody talks about like naturals, and just go talk to them, bro. Where it's like how to draw an owl. First draw some circles and then draw the rest of the fucking owl. So I don't like the idea of shaming guys for having to learn things in a more systematic way, because nobody's perfect at everything all the time. Some people catch on to things early enough that it's internalized and they just kind of catch it. Some people have to learn it the hard way. Some people don't learn it at all. As long as you get there, I don't really care. And yes, some other ones like game is fake. It's like, yeah, game is no less fake than any other self-improvement pursuit which a man might set himself to. Yeah, if it's fake, then why are you mad about it? Nobody gets mad at something that doesn't work. People get mad at things that do work, that attack their worldviews. So always keep that in the back of your mind too. Men who run game are just doing the bidding of women. Alphas don't entertain women. Well, if you want success with women, you're going to have to entertain them one way or the other. This is one of those things that I'm like amazed even has to be said. Like everybody's talking about, being alpha males or good game, or I'm the red-pilled president of fucking shitpile Detroit or whatever. You're like, whatever. Women should just jump onto your dick. You shouldn't have to do anything on it because they'll do anything for a guy. It's like, you do know women are people, right? Women are people. And just like any other person, they want things out of life. Maybe they're entitled to want too much. Maybe they don't want enough. Maybe they want different things than you. Doesn't really matter. People want things. And when people have value to offer to other people, they tend to give that value to get the things that they want. Validation trades for sex, essentially. I'm not going to make it sound so artistic that people are doing a checklist. All right, that's enough validation. We can do blowjobs for that, and then sex for this, and then anal. Oh, I better get some like real good valid. Like, no, it's just like it's a feeling thing, a gut thing. You go with it. But at the same time, if you're not entertaining, if you're not fun, if you're not an escape from the bored girl out there, then they're not going to give you any, because they're just riding their feelings. So yeah, it's just like you're just doing the bidding of women. It's like, welcome to being a social creature. People are going to get things from you, and they're going to give things in return. A proper red-pilled perspective is to make sure you're getting market rates for the value you offer, and to understand what your value even is. I'm actually amazed how many guys, I'm going to say guys, not men, but guys specifically, don't understand the things that they offer in a relationship, or just like a, one-night stand or a plate or whatever. Probably the best example of this is emotional stability. I'm sure, just bring up the Torsha one again. Torsha had a tweet a couple days ago, something about, I think it was you anyway. It might have been somebody else. Anyways, just assume it's her for the sake of it. Something about realizing you're single when you're at your apartment or condo and the fire alarm goes off for the building or something like that. I don't quite get it, but I'm assuming it's some kind of like neurosis, like, oh my God, a fire, and then a little bit of panic and like, it's just me. Just being that stable guy at home is like a superpower. It's super valuable. There's why you see so many neurotic spinsters out there. It's because they don't have a guy there who's just like literally isn't affected by stuff. And there's nothing more calming an influence on a neurotic person than an unneurotic person that just isn't phased. Oh wow, he has the confidence that this is not a big deal. Well, I can trust this guy and I can calm the fuck down. I'd swear to God, like a not even top tier, let's just say a top 20% guy is better than a year's worth of Xanax, SSRIs, Percocet, and Prednisone all at once. Okay, it was you. Fair enough. Relax, you don't need to justify your thing to me. I'm using it as an example about things guys can offer. I don't need to know about your home life. Tell your dad I said hi, though. He seems like a nice man. And then the last bit of hate is you're lying about the women you've had. Where are the photos? And this one, I'm actually surprised this one made a comeback. I wasn't expecting it at all. I see Rolo gets it all the time. I get it all the time. It's like, why would you have to, like, do you need to see me fucking in order to believe me? And at that point, you'll say, well, you just hired the girl. Like, receipts is the stupidest argument ever, because look, asking for receipts is ultimately saying you're looking for an authority figure, which completely misses the point. And don't get me wrong, Sterling, porn star, shows the girls he's with. You can see them. I'm sure you can search them on YouTube or Pornhub, I mean. I've never actually searched for Sterling, which is weird. You think it'd be one of those things, just out of curiosity or due diligence, I'd tape up fucking Sterling in there. Haven't done it yet. I probably will one day. I might even live stream what I find. Probably won't play it for you guys, though. But you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't really matter. Because you can be, and I'm not, Sterling's great. I like him. Nothing but respect for him. He's got good advice. He always gives guys helpful stuff. He's got some great, is it a course or a book or both, on dealing with like erectile function dysfunction issues, like the psychological stuff. Absolutely amazing. But just because someone's a porn star doesn't mean they know anything about relationships or about fucking. They probably do. They may not. The point you got to ask yourself, though, is the stuff he's giving me works? I'm going to use, here's another, since we're already starting beef, let's just go with it, right? Remember Cortez? That guy, the himbo? 6'2", luscious locks, that fucking chatty jawline. Total natural. He has no idea what he's doing. It just always has worked for him. So when he starts giving dating advice, it's from the perspective of, like, literally draw the fucking owl. So when you're asking him for receipts, well, he's got receipts. Look at him. He's super attractive, and he's tall, and he's this, and he's that. Yeah, but he couldn't explain it to you in a way that helps you. That's really what matters. And you're going to find, this is why probably my best flex I've ever had, and this is totally thanks to you guys, is every couple days, one of you guys will be in chat saying, I used to watch all these guys. I used to watch like Wheat Waffles, and I'm probably getting the names wrong. The MGTOW dictionary guy, and the Ribbit the Frog, or Ribby the Frog, Taylor the Fiend, all these guys. And I used to watch them all the time, and now I don't watch any of them anymore. I just watch you. It's not because I think I deserve all the channels in that, but it's like guys are getting it. It's like, here, when you're telling somebody something, when you're making an infotainment, I'd say infotainment's a fair way to put it, like piece of content, a blog post, an essay, a book, a video. When the reader reads it, what can I take away from this that allows me to solve a problem in my life? And you're going to find that almost no content creators do that. They will talk about Will Smith, and yes, I know I was goofing around with some memes too, but you know, whatever. Top of the funnel activity, what can I tell you, right? Oh, I'll shit on them as much as I want, sir. Oops. I accidentally hid your message. How do I fix that? Oh, I better not touch it. Last time I did that, I accidentally muted somebody for like another 10 minutes. Oh, dude, it's not even that. It's not like I'm searching for him. It's that you guys keep sending them to me. Like, Chesty used to have a fun thing where every time his stupid Smart TV's YouTube would recommend stuff to him, like he'd watch a couple Manosphere videos and then he'd see like, hey, you wouldn't believe what they just sent me. It's another MGTOW channel with like 100,000 subscribers. And I'm like, holy shit. How do I not get this clout? All he did is put up a TikTok and then bitch about women for an hour. But yeah, receipts are just looking for a hero, somebody to look up to. And if you want to live vicariously through somebody, fill your boots. But you're kind of missing the point. To live vicariously through somebody means you're not living vicariously through yourself. Yeah, but I can't pick up as many women as fucking Fresh or whatever, which, trust me, you can. You can. It's like, yeah, so what would you rather have? Would you rather be a huge fan of some dude on YouTube with 100 chicks a year under his belt? Or would you rather be that guy who went from maybe 1 girl a year to 5 girls a year? Arguably, it's not nearly as great a success as like Mr. 100 Notch McGee over there, but your life has gotten 5 times better. You know what I mean? So we're going to do the next topic, but I'm trying something out here. We're going to see how it goes. Charles Bukowski, Jordan Peterson, Neil Strauss. I like these guys. Add some salt to cover up the bitterness of middle-aged soccer moms and put in the oven for 45 minutes. Optionally, you can take from all this stuff what you want and leave the rest. So enjoy Fuck Files. 15 lessons from a decade of women, now on audio. Dude, I love it. That worked great. So I'm going to start putting like little segues and ads and like an intro thing on this. I got plans. So we're testing it out and see how it works. I know, old school. I like it. As long as you guys remember it, that's all I care about. Just get the thought in your head. Inside RP wrong. So this is the next part. Oops, 34. Why am I saying 11? My mistake, sirs. I'm totally ruining it for you. So from inside the red pill, what's wrong with the red pill? And this is the big one. Uh, it's one of those things, like everybody had blogs and that. I was on the Reddit for when Married Red Pill and the Red Pill started, like 2012, 2014. I was still in the military. I thought it was just like an interesting space. Never really committed to like 2014. Batman origin story, blah, 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 blah. And inside the Red Pill, there's a couple things you notice. Like one, there is always a guy who's like, man, this place has really gone downhill. It used to be great, and now it's just shit. And it's gone downhill, and nobody in here is having sex, and everybody's just LARPing. And you'll see within like the first year of that place being made, people were making those posts, and those posts have been going around. The one thing you will find, without doubt, is that I used to do this. You click on that guy's username, and you see what his contributions have been. Never a post, never a comment, or like if it's just like comments, it's like low-hanging shit, like, yeah, fuck them hoes. And you're like, all right. So, in other words, we're not dancing like monkeys for you, well. Now, there's two parts to this, and it's something that you guys will probably experience at some point if you haven't already. So, let me know in the chat how mine goes to 11. Nice. How this goes. So when you first get in, everything's new. Everything's new. I've never heard of this before. I've never heard of this before. This kind of jives with what I've thought before, but I never thought about it that way. Yada, yada, yada. And after a length of time, you've gotten through Robert Glover, you've gotten through Manuel Smith, you've gotten through Franco, you've gotten through Rational Male, you've gotten through all the different stuff on the sidebar, which, by the way, playlist down below, follow that if you followed nothing else, it's definitely worth. You've gotten through all that stuff, nothing's new anymore, and you start to see the posts have like a cycle. There's like a cycle, and it's, everybody will be talking about Dread, and then all of a sudden everybody will be talking about Frame, and then all of a sudden everybody will be talking about, and like every red-pilled bento model. And you're just going to see somebody else wrote something. Dude, somebody already wrote that like 2 years ago. You just changed the wording. And that's how the cycle works. Now, a lot of guys who like the idea of things have to be difficult to be useful. If it's not difficult, I can't get a feeling from it. And there's this guy, Daniel, GLO. He was like one of the prolific guys, and he just liked the idea of everybody listening to him write. He thought he was the king dingling. That's what he ended up doing. He got to the point that, well, everybody's talked about it before. This well is not wide enough. It's too deep. And then he started going into like Evola and all that kind of like crazy nonsense. He was kind of like BAP, Bronze Age pervert. I don't know what, Bronze Age pervert, Bronze Age playboy, whatever. He kind of was like him, except for not charismatic, a lot more spelling mistakes, and it was just like insufferable. So imagine taking all the charm out of BAP, and that was this guy. Shit up everything. Basically was annoyed that he wasn't the top of the fuck pile. But that's the thing. He took it in a totally different direction. And that's usually what guys end up doing. Because they want to get back to that original feeling of they're at the lowest point in their life. Like this Daniel guy, his girl went on a girls' night out to Vegas, fucked a bunch of dudes, came back, they broke up. He was sad. He came to the red pill. Why did my girlfriend cheat on me? Runs into a whisper post about you don't need a wife, just a blowjob. And he's like, oh, great. It saved my life. Learned his thing, and now he's like, he wants to get that feeling back of that absolute epiphany. This explains everything. And then the first thing guys do is they start doing the conspiratory things. Like, oh my God, it's the lizard people. It's the elves. I'm Taxa Mendoza. We're gonna agree to disagree on this one. Funny enough, actually, you know what? Oh, we're doing a little bit of a side trick here, but here. You must put this bucket on your head right now. Let's see if this pulls up. Oh, for fuck. Ever since the place got quarantined, just doing Google searches for Reddit posts is just ridiculous. Here we go. Here's something for you to read. And actually, this is good because for a lot of people, like there's some things you can see for yourself. Try it out for yourself, see if it works. You can do that, find out if something works. That's great. Now, there's some things you can't, or that the benefits for them will be so far into the future that by the time you find out it's right or wrong, you're already committed. And that's where great red-pilled mental model, sticking your head in the bucket, comes in. And this is, if you don't know, actually, let me word it in the way he words it here. Look at the problem in a naive, gaff, blah, 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 blah. There we go. So if we look at the problem in a naive, simplified, math, game theory kind of way, it's insolvable. But before you stick in your head in the bucket, that being a reference to like, you got to stick your head in this bucket, dude. It's the greatest bucket. This is what I did, and it's awesome. Stick your head in the bucket. You don't know what's inside. And afterwards, if you needed to, you don't know if you've truly gained any meaningful enlightenment or simply just been, practiced on or, converted. And the world isn't simple. It's full of other people, so what do? Well, notice what happened to other people who stuck their heads in that particular bucket. Absolutely. So when you see people drifting and saying the real red pill is this or the real red pill is that, or, apply this to anywhere, but I'm a red pill channel, so we're talking about red pill. Real red pill is where we have to do this shit. I look at the person. Rich's thing about, like, would you trade places with that? It's kind of like that, but instead of trade places, it's like, is he better for having done what he did? And for the Evola stuff, this is why I don't like it, because I see it and, like, broke as hell, not a pot to piss in, a window to throw it out of, not charming, not capable, not even building great, like, monetized, branding channels and shit like that. So I'm like, yeah, fuck it. Jesus, chin up, man. You gotta slow down on the tism, dude. Yeah. So when you hear, like, a great example, like Jack Murphy talking about his tradcon ideals, but, like, what happened to him? Wife left him, kids estranged, booted from the baseball thing, so he basically can't see his own kids, chatterbait videos, got set up by the Blaze, his career's in a shambles, his life's in a shambles, he's a bit of a degenerate, but they make bread on the weekends. I'm like, would you really want to follow, like, whatever Jack Murphy tells you? Probably not. There may be some good stuff in there, there may not, but if you don't know and there's not little things you can do to try yourself and to see if it gets you some success, then yeah, absolutely, judge a book by its cover. Same thing, you're yelling at chicks over White Claws. Is that going to make your life better? Well, look at their life. I don't know. How many fake pregnancy tests, guys pulling pistols on it? What about Tim Pool? I know. I can't believe he's shitting on Tim Pool again. Well, he's such a great example. It's not my fault, sir. Well, he don't care. Just leave him alone. Relax. Nobody hates the guy. But he made a bunch of money. His board of directors tried to get him kicked off his own company to the point he has to sue them. He lives in this compound somewhere in, like, Colorado, isn't it? He's completely alone. He's lonely. He has constant rants about, I'm 36 and I don't even have a girlfriend. What's wrong with me? I made all this money. It's like, do you want to follow that path? Does that look like the lifestyle of somebody who's, like, happy with where he is? Sure, he's got a bunch of money, but what are you going to do with it? Actually, one of the parts of my book. Self-improvement is masturbation. Well, I want to earn more money. Well, how much more? What do you want to do with it? Tim Pool has all the money in the world right now. How many millions of dollars? What can he do with it? Can he make his life better? No. He can buy a big house in the middle of nowhere, but he can't invite people over. He's got his work show, but, somebody is swatting him every 10 minutes. Is he happy? I don't know if he's happy. You tell me. But that's a question for you to look in for yourself. I do like how Whisper ends it, though. There's always somebody willing to test the waters for you on these things. So if something amazing happens for them, you should be able to see it. If not, you're just being proselytized by somebody with a bucket on his head. Absolutely. And this is where the internal issue with the red pill, and this is where I'm going to shit on red pill coach. Like, but he's my source of the Ukraine. Like, shut up. There's a reason. Daily Beast did an article about, like, the sleazy pickup artist that now became a fucking source of Russian propaganda or whatever. Roosh had the same thing happen to him. They had a photo of him where they found him at his parents' place in his pajamas with, like, stains on the shirt like that, looking like a man-child living in his parents' basement. Or Robert Fisher, the creator of the Red Pilled subreddit, who ended up being a New England something Republican. I don't know. He got doxxed too, but what did they do to him? They showed a picture of him, tubby guy, in a t-shirt, playing with, like, fucking music. Like his little music career, making, like, chiptunes or something like that. They ultimately know these character assassinations work on guys who have various, very obvious character flaws. Bucket on your head. Look at that guy's bucket on his head. His life is a bit of a LARP, so let's make fun of it. Like, I'll tell you right now, if Coach Red Pill, which I don't know why he has the name, but fuck, whatever. He mostly would just, like, rip off. He would just basically, like, 33 Secrets, and Rolo has enough of rants for that. Does he look like he epitomizes anything he's talking about male and female dynamics? And I know we always have that that Mark Ripto thing where, would you trust this guy with strength training? Ripto still looks strong as fuck. Even though he's got a bit of a gut on him, he knows more, but he's earned that reputation. If you didn't know Mark Ripto from a hole in the ground, would you trust him with it? Probably not. You know him through his reputation, but that's the same thing. The bucket on his head. So when I hear guys like, Coach Red Pill talking about male and female dynamics, and I'm like, how the fuck do you know? Like, where are you getting your source from? I'd rather trust that guy. And say what you will about Rollo. He's in shape. He's in his 50s. He's got a marriage. Like, and I know I just said something about receipts there, but it's like, if you don't even know, like, do I even want to touch this red pill thing? Do I even want to start? You look at him, you're like, he looks like he's in all right shape. Why not? If I start telling you guys you need to lift tomorrow, and I don't look like I've lifted a weight in my life, would you trust me? I probably wouldn't. Have you tried it yourself? No, trust me, but it's great. It's the greatest thing ever. You wouldn't believe how many guys start talking about how they lift. And then you get them to post their numbers, and the numbers make no sense. Like, their bench press will be bigger than their squat, or something weird like that. Or like they bring up the weights on their bicep curls, but they don't bring up what they can do as a row. And you're like, do you even know what you're doing? Like, I see enough guys at my gym who have like a bench press that's about as good as my girls. And I was like, what the hell? Even she's laughing. She goes, look at that soy boy. I just started laughing. I'm like, you've only started lifting 3 months ago. He's like, yeah, I'm stronger than these assholes. I'm like, fair enough. Come on now, James Marshall of Natural Lifestyles levitates far above James. Oh, James Marshall, that goofball, the Aussie guy, right? Who talks about your feelings and that. Yeah, that stuff's all weird. Me when I give dating advice. Yeah, and that's kind of why. And here's how this applies to you in practice. So, I've known this stuff for a while, and I'm telling you guys about it now, and I'm showing you where I got it from. That's great. How do I take that knowledge and have that information, those strategies, and make it work in my life? Well, for example, you'll notice that my content is geared towards almost like a Library of Alexandria. Well, this is this thing from this guy. This is this thing from this guy. These things help. These things help. Sometimes in my life, there's a personal anecdote that I can show that will like draw the point home that I've tried it and it's worked for me. You guys have seen me try this. You've seen me try that. I can post workouts if you really want to. Like, I know how to work out. But you don't end up turning into like the receipt boy where it's like live vicariously through me. It's like a real fine line. I like to think you guys are savvy enough to understand the difference on that one. There's occasionally a guy who doesn't, but whatever. But from your life, same thing. Same thing. If you want to tell somebody, like, don't red pill your friends, don't red pill your wife, don't red pill anybody. Because what they're going to see is you with a fucking bucket on your head. Dude, you got to put this bucket on your head. It's the greatest thing ever. And if you're 150 pounds soaking wet, if you haven't had a date in 6 months and you're talking about the great and wise Rollo Tomassi, all you've basically done is added to that pile of bullshit manosphere grifters. It just so happens that you have a really shitty brand. Yeah, well, disclaimers. And again, everything, you know what I love too? Everything is so contextual in the red pill that disclaimers, everything has an opposite. Some things are made to be taken literally, or not to be taken literally, but taken seriously. Other things are meant to be taken literally. What's the difference? You got to use your fucking noggin. Same thing with disclaimers, talking about dating and shit like that. Like, I can give disclaimers all day, but at the same time, I hated that don't eat paint warning. If you guys don't know what that is, paint used to come with lead in it, and lead actually tastes sweet. So you'd end up with a bunch of kids licking the walls, catching some brain damage, so the paint companies were liable, so what they had to write was don't eat the fucking paint on the sides of the thing. And that started a whole generation of warning labels on anything for limited liability, to the point that people, unless they're specifically told not to be an idiot, will be an idiot, because now they get to blame you for their stupidity. So yeah, so there's the 2 points of it. You got to give disclaimers. You want to make sure you're accurate, and the stuff that you give is like, look, like, just be aware, this thing I've tried, it works for me, your mileage may vary, this is the stuff you can expect from it. Expectation management, I believe, is the corporate term they use for it. But at the same time, if you can't give information out, or a mental model, or a strategy, without constantly having to hedge, because that lowest common denominator person is going to screw it up, sometimes you just have to assume your audience is smarter than that and knows, like, I'm giving you non-literal advice to take seriously, being like a fucking moron. And if somebody takes that literally and goes screw up their life, like, I have to assume that you're smart enough not to screw up your own life because some asshole on the internet told you that. It's just the truth. And if you're going to screw it up, then it's like, didn't matter what I said. If it wasn't me getting you to screw up, it's somebody else. You just have to trust the guy to fuck up his life on his own terms, and you cannot be responsible for it. That's why I will never stop shitting on coaches on fucking Twitter. Hate coaches because they keep acting like there's a accountability. Like, they even have it, like accountability checks and accountability classes. Like, dude, you're on a Zoom call. There is zero accountability. You can go and give this guy advice about what to do with his wife. He goes home and he does it with his wife. His wife files charges against him, divorces him, leaves him, takes the kids, sends him a $5 super chat on Sydney Watson's show on The Blaze, and has him have a fucking meltdown. And you are not accountable for any of that stuff you told him. So don't pretend that there is accountability, because all you're doing is giving the guy an excuse to blame somebody that nobody's going to care about. You guys, absolutely killing me. And like here, Billy, say a good example too, hates deadlifts. I actually am not a fan of deadlifts either, but I don't know if it's for the same reasons. Like my back's been messed for a while. After the car accident, I've got arthritis. My one hand, it's just basically messed. So deadlifts just aren't in the cards for me. It's too easy for me to get injured, and the benefits I get from lifting just aren't there. Squats seem to be okay now, so just avoiding it. It happens, and that's fine. I'm not trying to be a deadlift champion, but that's the categorical imperatives versus the hypotheticals, right? Well, if you want to be a champion powerlift, then you better have a strong deadlift. Well, if you don't want to be a champion powerlifter and you just want to get a hot body, well, you can skip deadlifts. And your concerns are more about injury prevention than they are about strength training, right? Yes, it's a useful lift. Yeah, you can probably still do it. Maybe some light warm-ups with it, sure. But I don't want to lift with pain. I actually haven't brought my hooks with me to the gym in a while, and it was kind of nice. Confucius, I love talking about Kant at 10 a.m. So that's one of the things that's wrong with it. So you get a lot of guys that kind of LARP. And that's the biggest problem with any male space, is the guys in it. Because you can't gatekeep on the internet. You just can't. It used to be the case, you join the Shriners Convention and you act the way the Shriners talk about in their charter. And if you act like a bad Shriner, they kick you out of the Shriners. So when you see a Shriner, if you guys don't know, those are the guys with the fezzes that walk around, do charity work. They're kind of like, what the hell is it? I even had a couple friends that were this. Freemasons. They're like Freemasons and all that stuff, Christian groups, or the Buffalo people in the Flintstones. They're not real red pill. Absolutely, dude. I give you my very strong and honest opinion about what I consider to be red pill or not. But again, who the fuck am I? Having said that, I'm pretty confident in what I do and what I can do. So when I give the opinion, it gives the exact amount of weight that you give to me and what I tell you guys. So take it for what it's worth. I think we can argue, though, like red pill, there's only really two parts about it. It's rule 0. Sexual strategy for men, positive male identity. And if you're not able to do something that's aligned with those two things, then you're just not red pill. Because there's very few things we can all agree on. That's basically it. That's how it started. That's literally the first post. I haven't actually talked about it in a while. If you guys are new to the channel, you might not know this one. Libertarian game is red pill. I love posting this one. This is the genesis. This is where the red pill got its start. 2009? Dang. It's like 13 years ago? Fuck. This guy here, Keone Galt, Hawaiian libertarian. He was doing pickup stuff, and then they were kind of like talking red pill, blue pill stuff, but then he understood like the idea of the red pill. And the beauty of it is, he even this is what I used to love about posts like this. So he had a theory. It's a big theory, the Matrix allegory, but he added onto it a bunch of things that actually helped, like the emasculation paradox, which if you've never heard of it, it's been since refined by Dalrock in an article called Threat Point. The idea that whoever wants to leave the marriage first, generally speaking, is the one that gets the most power in that situation. So chicks would leave, acrimonious divorces, guys get, thrown under the bus. You guys know the deal about marriage being bad, right? And from the emasculation paradox, they were all noticing that because of those horrible divorce stories, that guys would stop acting as assertive and dominant in their relationships because they were terrified of their wife pulling it on them. And they think, well, if I just don't act like a man, then she won't leave me and take the kids. Covert contract. Turns out those dominant aspects of your personality were the things that kind of attract you to women in the first place, in part. Assuming you've calibrated it properly. If you're just fucking an ogre, then I don't know what to tell you. So those guys actually make it more likely that the wife is going to leave them because she's just not happy. He uses like 8 A's. That's the emasculation paradox. And so it lets you know, in order to salvage your relationship, you have to act in a way that you think will make it less likely for your marriage to last with any amount of happiness. And it seems like that's awful convoluted. I said, well, it's not really. That's kind of, and it branched into Rollo's one about mental point of origin. Everybody kind of builds on each other. You see that? Standing on the shoulders of giants. Rollo on top of Dalrock on top of Keone Galt on top of like fucking Mystery or Tom Terray or whatever. And that's where mental point of origin kind of started making a thing. From there, inner game, that sort of thing, where people were talking about consider your life from your own perspective. Make yourself the protagonist in your own story that you are writing for yourself. Nobody is writing it for you. And it was like a revolutionary thing, which sounds weird. It's like, what are you talking about? Just self-interest? Yeah. But isn't everybody a giant narcissist? Isn't that a problem? It's like, no, there's a difference. The raging narcissism issue we have right now with like the martyrdom narcissists that think like, woe is me, the world is against me. And the delusional narcissist like that Corey Capella guy who's like, I'm the fucking man. I'm definitely not on coke and I'm an alpha. Like, both those guys are deluded. Mental point of origin is similar to narcissism, but minus the delusion. That's when I talk about healthy narcissism and unhealthy narcissism. That's basically the issue. Is it true, or are you fluffing yourself, really? So yeah, did I put that up there? Oh, good, I did put it up there. So it's neat. So when I talk about Red Pill being wrong, there's a lot of guys who ignore all this shit because everybody wants to be that delusional narcissistic fantasy of I am the president of the Red Pill. I am the ultimate man. And you're just like, Jesus Christ, dude. And they don't know who Keone Galt is. They might know who Rollo is, but they've never said anything. And that fucking TikTok again, that was that guy. He's like, well, this guy thinks he's the top of the fuck pile. Well, he obviously must know absolutely nothing the same as me and be able to run his mouth. So I'm just going to talk some shit and he'll back off because he doesn't know what he's doing. That's the big problem with Red Pill is that most people haven't paid attention to anybody else but themselves. Really. I'm not saying you have to be a complete scholar in this stuff. I mean, heaven forbid. But I mean, that's why I'm here. For a lot of you guys, you're just kind of cursorily interested. And, oh, wow, you're bringing up this stuff. I didn't know this. Oh, I didn't know this. That's great. Thanks, man. But you're not going to go reading through Red Pill Room to see Ian Ironwood stuff. You're not going to be reading through Dalrock's blog all day. You're not going to be reading through all of Royce's stuff over the last, 7 years, especially when he gets to the mud sharking stuff. Not going to lie. He kind of loses me there once he starts talking about the multiracial parents thing, because it hurts. You know, it hurts. It's like finding out that Santa doesn't like the blacks, and you're like, oh, ow. Come on, Santa, I just wanted a gift. No, that's why I give you coal. Like, ouch. Sam Whiskey, $9.99 super chat. Be aware of mermaids sunbathing while sitting on a rock. Dude, that's some Odysseus level wisdom right there. But I mean, their tits are looking good, so you're going to go say hello. They won't drag you under the water, will they? Nah, she loves me. She said so herself. Listen to that song. It sounds so great. No, son. Get that Red Pill wax and feathers and jam them in your ears and let the crew go all crazy. And let them know when they're done. Problems with the Red Pill. I don't know. And then there's another part where a lot of guys just like to argue. They like being in a space about sexual dynamics for the same reason that women like a book club. They don't actually give a shit about the books. They just want an excuse to drink and bitch to their frenemies about whoever the fuck they're against. Whoever didn't show up to the book club that month is the one getting shit on. These ones probably annoy me the most because it initially comes across as a good faith thing, like an argument, like maybe this is wrong, maybe this is right. The idea of like open communication, right? Two people sharing information to arrive at some greater fact or truth that you can both become enlightened from. It sounds great. Unfortunately, it's the internet, and that shit never happens. And you will take forever to learn this lesson. I'm still learning it myself. Every now and then I hear somebody that sounds like it's a genuine critique, oh, actually I've tried something else and it works. And I'm like, oh, I have a chance to learn something. So I engage and I'm pretty strongly opinionated. And then all of a sudden I find out they're like, oh, okay, it's one of those. So for a lot of guys in the Red Pill, they don't care if what they're saying is true. They just want to win some kind of weird argument. And this is where you get that argument. Have you ever seen it? It's on TikTok. They talk about it all the time. It's like dudes with microphones. Like the male podcasts where they bitch about women and everybody's like, look at these dudes with microphones. They're such pieces of trash. And then you see it's like a chick with microphones. And all they're doing is saying men ain't shit. It's literally like female dating strategy versus Red Pill on some weird internet blood sport. Yeah, you thought the White Claw thing? No, the Zoomers have got it all down pat. Just passive-aggressive snark while they're dancing to a fucking Usher tune. And it's entertaining enough, but the problem is by listening to that stuff, you end up just getting caught in the weeds, and then the arguments kind of lose all traction with reality because you have to ultimately Anything you want to advocate for or argue for has to be grounded in action. Otherwise, it's just not true. How many people have you seen on the internet? The Ukraine war, great example. People haven't served a day in their life in the military. People don't even know where to find Ukraine on the map. People don't know anything, but they absorb a lot of information from biased propagandic sources, and then they have the greatest truth ever on the Ukrainian thing, and they're making predictions. They're arguing with other people about predictions, and you're getting this entire beast of a body of knowledge that's all based on shit. You know what I mean? Garbage in, garbage out. So yeah. Big problem inside the red pill is that some people are just bored, and they just want to argue. And they just want to bitch, and they just want to feel alive and prove how smart they are because, well, great example. How many we were just talking, like Torsha, me, you, about contradictions, right? Well, when I give dating advice, I always got to give disclaimers. Yeah, but you don't want to have like an eat paint warning at the front of your thing either. Totally contradictory things can completely work within the red pill space. Why? Because it's conditional. Is this a situation where it's mostly me giving you a healthy disclaimer because a reasonable person might screw this up if they don't understand me properly and I want to be clear? Or is this the kind of thing where I am hiding from useful information that is possibly dangerous if a stupid person uses it because I don't want that stupid person to hurt himself and blame me? Well, this thing is totally contradictory, and you make this argument, and then if you want to be a nice guy and you concede that, then you end up like losing all the strategy because you need to have like this 100% morally and ethically consistent set of mental models and shit. And it's like, dude, nobody can meet that standard. Everybody is a hypocrite. Everybody has contradictory opinions. That's okay. The question you got to ask yourself is, do those things propel you forward in a way that you're happier? Is this making that bucket on your head make your life better? And I'm not going to sit here and proselytize red pill because, like, maybe it doesn't for you. There's some people that have said it and, like, red pill or, punching Morpheus, shit like that. And they're saying, I tried the red pill. It made me angry and I don't like life anymore. And sure, fine. Grant you all of that stuff. So just leave. There's been a few guys, I'll see them on my channel, where like, I don't know if I want to take the red pill. I need this and that. And this didn't work for me. This didn't work for me. It's like, this clearly isn't for you. We've had to kick a few guys out. There was I Am Steve McQueen. I love this. I mean, I don't love the guy, but I love the story. Literally kicking the can down the road. Great mental model, by the way, for guys. And this is why I hate that MGTOW, just leave her, bro, answer to everything. Hey, I've got a wife. I got 3 kids. We just got the mortgage and my wife's acting like a cunt. What do I do? Oh, just leave her, bro. It's like, yeah, let me just upend my life because she said some snarky shit one time. Even if that was a good strategy, and in that case, I'm not saying it is because, like, there's a couple steps in between put up with it and leave her, bro. Try some of this shit first. See if your life gets better. Problem with leave her, bro, though, is it doesn't solve the problem. It just runs away from the internal problem. Like, yes, maybe your wife is just a cunt. I get it. Sometimes they are. But maybe, and hear me out here, guys, maybe you're a fucking douche. And you're a pathetic sack of shit. And you're codependent and you're validation seeking. And the way you acted, how did you expect her to react to that? If you act like a bitch and your wife treats you like a bitch, whose fault is it? Better yet, why does fault even matter? Stop acting like a bitch and then everything gets better. But it's her fault for doing... Yeah, who cares? What are you, 6? Pick up those toys. Well, I didn't put them there. I don't give a fuck. If dad steps on them, he's going to beat the shit out of all of us. Fucking fine. Whatever. Talking with like 37-year-old children. It drives me nuts sometimes. Well, it doesn't really drive me nuts, but it's a good creative flair to throw at the end of this podcast, you know? If it looks like a bitch and acts like a bitch. Yeah. So it makes me laugh. Because you think about all this stuff and you just realize like all this is completely aside from the point. All of it. And this is the problem with red pill is that people are stupid. People are ego invested. People are argumentative. People are just assholes. And so none of this really matters. This is why the best time I would argue within the red pill was when it was all blogs, before the subreddits. Because if you had an argument, somebody had to write it down. Either give you a comment or write it on their own blog post as a counter to you. And then you'd see it and then you'd be able to counter back. Base it on your activities. It slowed everything down, right? So, I mean, I could sit here and have an argument with somebody whether AWOLT is real. All women are like that. And they'll run their mouth. And if they catch me, if I accidentally, describe something a little less than perfectly, or if there's an inconsistency that does work hypothetically, but not all the time, not categorically, I got this motherfucker now. And then I win. Yeah, fuck this. Blood sports. Yeah. Fucking rights. Red pill's trash. Daily Beast, hire me. The blog stuff, there was none of that shit because being a snarky asshole usually involves in-person interaction because it's very difficult to come across as a condescending, snarky asshole without spending 10,000 words to do it. Oh, that's right. Why More Please has a Substack too. Go check that one out. So that's another problem with it. I don't like it. Oh yeah.
Single moms. A horrible position that's not my problem.
Getting good at this. All right, what are we at now? Hour 5. Make it hour 6. Into the next topic. Some strategies are just wrong. I like these guys. Oh, wait. Yeah, I didn't ghost. You may be right, but I'm not going to sit here and like navel gaze about why it's gone. Just know that it is gone. Why is a stupid question. Why is trying to figure out why things work the way they are when if you can get them predictably to work a certain way, then that's good enough. Don't look into it too far. They are still the main way to argue among economists, and 5,000-word verbal assaults are mostly a norm. Well, I'm not an economist, nor do I give a shit about economists, so power to them. Yeah, I don't know. The whole point about debate, though, isn't to learn anything. It's, again, there's an old Whisper post on this one, why purple pill debate, the idea of blues and reds getting together to come up with some ultimate truth, like it's useless because people aren't even talking on the same plane. You got a red pill guy who's acting from a position of factual objectivity, moral subjectivity, and the whole point of a debate is to sort out which facts are true, which facts are not true, or which ones are more useful, which ones are less useful to come to some greater truth. Blue pill side is the exact opposite. There's a moral objectivity and a factual subjectivity. You know, my truth, my facts. Truth is basically like a codified personal experience of a person, which is a weird way to describe it, but that's what people do. But morally, there's good people and there's bad people, and you're somewhere along that spectrum. And so the whole argument there is to shit on people until you find out who's the top king of the fuck pile, which is, funnily enough, even though it's like co-ed for both spaces, it ends up being male and female social matrices combining, which is a great example why male spaces can't really work with women in them, because they ultimately will have completely different trains of thought, completely different lenses to view the space, and completely different goals, where the guy's goal is to be the best X in the X space. The girl's best goal is to be, I want to be the king dick in space that maybe does X, but it's mostly about me. Yeah. But yeah, so we're at postmodern debate. If you want to debate how something is right or wrong, go live. You are proof in the pudding. That bucket on your head is the only argument you need to make. So when you get into these arguments and these debates, irreverence should be your MO. That's why I love to poke fun at guys who are having really serious arguments now. I'm like, I don't know, you're a fat fuck and you're alone at home and your webcam's just like the shitty one, and I'm sitting here, I got a good life, good condo, good girl, go traveling, got the dogs. Like, what are you going to tell me about red pill that is going to dissuade me from any of this being a good thing that's happened to me? The best you're going to say is, well, what would happen regardless? And I'm like, maybe, but I don't think so. Oh, Torch, you don't know this one. All right, well, here, I'll show you exactly what happens. Was it Swing Sets of Solipsism? I think it was this one. It might be the Sandbox Male Social Matrix. It was one of these two. Let me get to it. Yeah, it's this one. And it's great that he wrote it down, but I've seen it happen in real time, multiple spaces. I've seen it in the military. I've seen it in like online spaces. You've seen it everywhere. So I'll skip to the point to that. So it's mostly talking about how guys organize around a social hierarchy. You get a bunch of guys there for a certain type of focus. What are you here for? Fishing trip, Warhammer 20,000, masculinity, workplace, whatever. And you form a hierarchy basically based on merit, because guys know I may not be the top of this hierarchy, but as long as the entire hierarchy moves forward and makes us better than the other hierarchies, then it's better to be second draft, or was it better to be a second line on the winning team than the first line on the losing team. That's the idea. Add one woman to the mix, though, and the entire dynamic changes. So you add a woman in an all-male group, it radically alters the dynamic. Some women, determined to be one of the guys, find it highly frustrating. Despite their best efforts, they just don't make the cut. You're never one of the boys in the same way, and that's true. Because guys, like, there'll always be guys holding back. Like, if you're in a sports team, girl wants to do on a sports team. Like, I remember we used to do this in high school. We had, like, touch football, which was, well, it wasn't touch football, but, you know, touch football. Girls like, I'm out here just like you guys. I want to get hit just as hard. And like, no, you don't. Most of the guys would still take it easy on her, and she used to get pissed until one guy finally, like, fine, gave her the same hit that he gave other guys, and then 3 guys beat the shit out of him. It's like, it just doesn't work. So yeah, they're dudes, no matter, and she's still a chick, and no matter how much they respected her ability, she still wasn't a dude. And it's just the way it is. If you really don't understand that one, think of it like, you could be an entire group of black friends. You guys can love each other. You guys could be the greatest friends ever. Throw one N-bomb, see how the dynamic changes. They can throw it all day and you don't. So yeah, sometimes it's just like, you're not part of the in-group, so it's just not the same. Add to that, there's going to be a subset. Whatever group you get, doesn't matter how switched on, how tough guy your guys are, you put one girl in the mix, and some guys are going to change their goal from the hierarchy of whatever it is into pleasing the girl. I want to make the girl happy. I want her to like me the most. Sometimes it's not even sexual. There's like, you know, like the dad-daughter dynamic where it's like, yeah, I think she surrounds me like my little sister. She's like my daughter. I think she'd be a great friend, something like that. But it's always still a validation thing, right? Now, that's fine. Maybe it's one guy, maybe it's 2 guys. You kind of laugh at them over it, whatever. Yeah, hope she sees this, bro. The problem comes when, and I don't, this is a bit of a leap for me, so you're going to have to go with it. There was a thing about Eternal September. I don't know if you know what it is. Doesn't really matter. Just know that if you add too many people into a group too fast, it alters the dynamic and it regresses towards the mean, and you lose what makes the group good in the first place. But I think it's 12%. If you have a 12% influx of people before a hierarchy is able to integrate them to the social norms, it ruins the whole thing. So all you need is like 12% of guys to start simping for one girl in a male group to completely ruin it. And unfortunately, if you're in a group of 5 guys playing Warhammer 20,000 or whatever the hell you're doing, or a 6-man Overwatch team, or it doesn't even matter, pick up basketball game, 5 guys, one guy is all it'll take to completely ruin that for simping for the one girl. Not even her fault. She's just acting like a girl. She wants to be part of the group. She finds it fun. Everybody has sincere intentions going in on it, but just the way people are designed, it does not work. Well, I mean, it works, but not in the way it originally worked. It has a new dynamic now. That's bad enough for a sake of just like a strictly hierarchical male social matrix and organization. The worst part is you add a second girl. Now there's a pivot. They kind of feed off of each other. Now their competition isn't about the hierarchy. It's not about, I'm using Warhammer 20,000. I've never actually played it, so if I get the references wrong, forgive me. So now, instead of like your Warhammer 20,000 group, you want figure painting parties, you guys have to have your figs painted, you have to have your games on Saturday, whatever. That's the goal. Whoever does that and organizes the best is top of the fuck pile. He gets to be the DM or whatever they call it. 2 girls now are fighting over who gets to be the coolest girl in the Warhammer 20,000 party. And they're going to weaponize the guys. They want this guy's attention. They want this guy's attention. They'll talk shit about her. She'll talk shit about her. The guys will be like, yeah, I know. She's a bitch. It's awesome. But if one guy's like, hey, get these chicks out of this space. I just want to paint a figurine. I don't want to have this stupid relationship drama. The 2 girls will automatically sisterhood Uber Alice. Get this guy out of here. He's toxic. We don't like him. I've seen examples from it in the Red Pill. Back when Donnie was less like whatever he's doing now. We had him on a bunch there with Red Man Group and that. And I remember there was this chick. Fuck was her name? Kitten Holiday. Does anybody remember who I'm talking about? Kitten Holiday? Name ring a bell? Like a middle-aged soccer mom, an author. I didn't know this, but I guess she was friends with Donnie's girlfriend or whatever you want to call her. She was one of those like thirst trap pick-me girls on here where she was talking manosphere stuff and had her tits hanging out. No, you boomer. Yeah. But everybody at the time was like, all right, whatever. Everybody come in, do your thing. Everybody's just working together. We're building a group. Nobody cares. And this was kind of like, I knew the dynamic, but everybody else didn't know the dynamic, and I didn't articulate the dynamic well enough. You know, we live and learn. Yeah, Rob remembers. So I remember during that whole ADJ dust up, she was just constantly like DMing us and accusing Donnie of everything. You guys need to kick Donnie out of a group. Your podcasts are great. You guys are such alpha males, but he needs to go. Basically, she didn't like him. She wanted to use her tits to get him to go. And at this point, I'm talking to the guys. I'm like, look, like, here's the dynamic. Same thing I'm showing you guys. Like, this kind of disharmony is just going to continue to get worse. And there was Suzanne Aloni or something like that, which I'm still convinced isn't a chick. I think it was a guy who's got a bunch of manosphere dick pics right now. By the way, absolutely funny. Same thing, set of tits, some chick online talking about how all the guys are patriarchs and everything that they wanted to say come part of the space too. And it's like, guys, you should send me your dick pics. That's totally hot. Somewhere around here is a chick or a fake chick that's got like 20 or 30 dick pics from manosphere brands. And I find that absolutely hilarious that Damocles sword is floating out there in the ether somewhere. So you had these two chicks and they were basically fighting over the heart of the... All right, later, babe. Fighting over the heart of this stuff. And everybody completely forgot the whole point of this one was to get guys laid, have some fun, and have a decent positive male identity without, you know, Susan from HR telling you you're a dirty, rotten man for just being. Oh yeah, Kate's another example. Forgot about Kate, Deads and Sushi, Kate there. She used to be in the Married Red Pill before when it was co-ed. Again, slow learners. And it was great because she actually had good lifting. She had good stats, that kind of thing, lifting weights, whatever. And when a guy was talking about how great it was at lifting, and she's like, my lifts are better and I'm a 130-pound girl, get the fuck out of here. But then as soon as you got to something that was male sexual strategy that maybe wasn't as good for women, she just wouldn't shut up about it. And she kept blabbing about her morality. So like, yeah, she had to go. And we're like, yeah, we're going to, no girls allowed in the He-Man Woman Haters Club. We tried, it didn't work. Didn't work. Kitten would get guys riled up. Kate doesn't. I'm not going to sit here and talk about which one's the best, but here's the thing. It's all the same thing. It doesn't matter. And that's the point. You could be a fan of, no offense to you, you could be a fan of Torsha. You could be a fan of Kitten Holiday, although I don't know why you would be. You could be the greatest Kate fan ever. Who are some other? That's Susanna. You could be a fan of her. You can like these brands. You can like these people. That's fine. But just realize by them coming into the space, it changes the dynamic, and not in a good way, I would argue. So there's always kind of a... So this matters too in the workplace. You know, have you ever worked in an all-male space? Have you ever worked in an all-male space and brought one girl in? Or had somebody bring one girl in? You'll see that stuff for yourself. So you don't even have to take my word on it. Just watch. Again, women are fine. And co-ed spaces, and I'm not saying there needs to be no co-ed spaces. Here's my don't eat paint thing. Co-ed spaces are fine. But just understand the dynamic is going to be ultimately different. Same like workplaces, stuff like that. You're essentially catering to the feminine subjects, feminine feelings, right? Because, you know, girl gets mad, people get mad, send you to HR. Everybody understands that. Male aggression's not normally seen as a good thing anymore. There was a great post back in the day about what to do when the other guy challenges you first. Guy was having a barbecue, invited all the friends over and their wives, and it's a co-ed space. He's grilling, and this one guy keeps busting his balls when he's grilling the meat and all that stuff, and he's just laughing it off and whatever. And I guess, like, and when a guy tests you like that, when a guy kind of prods you, it's either because you're friends and it's a sign of camaraderie, like busting each other's balls, or he's challenging you. And I know it's like, this is just a social thing. It's how guys act. Just know it's one or the other. And so I guess the guy assumed it was just banter, but the dude was actually challenging him. So he goes in to the kitchen. The guy's wife was preparing some stuff and making fun of the husband that in front of her. And she's just kind of moving on, doing her thing. And I guess one of his friends kind of overheard this and just waited till the wife left. He's like, look, get out of this fucking house or I'm going to beat the shit out of you. Like, and he's like, what are you talking about? Like, shut up. Just go. Don't ever come back. So it was good. He did a solid. Like, he kept the status there. So don't challenge it. But that's the thing from like a co-ed standpoint. The guy running the barbecue, inviting everybody over, can't just start fucking poking his chest and giving him the 50 cal finger in the mouth. What is he getting so angry for? The guy was just busting his balls. There's always that plausible deniability aspect that a female interaction brings. But his buddy's like, yeah, I know the deal. Just not in front of the girls. He's like, I'll beat the shit out of you for my buddy, though. And that's good to have a friend that has your back like that. Don't tell the girls about it. But that's great because girls are really big on social cohesion. So if you can deal with a conflict discreetly, without causing a scene, without embarrassing somebody socially, yeah, it's, from a co-ed space, that's a great thing to do. And that's why a lot of guys may be good at male spaces, but really suck at co-ed spaces. And those are the exact kind of guys that you don't want to have a girl with in the male space because they don't know how to act. They don't know how the dynamics work. They don't know how game works. I thought game was just about getting laid. It's like, no. Sometimes just being able to navigate the dinner party without embarrassing your girl and not getting laid that night, sometimes that's the power you got to get from game. And that's a great thing to teach you. So some strategies are just wrong. When you hear this, like, you got to sprinkle some alpha on it, and you're talking about, this social gatherings thing. And it's like, is this the most alpha thing ever? No. But that's fine. Sometimes you don't need alpha to solve your problems. Alpha is not a panacea. It's not a keystone. It's not the end-all and be-all strategy. There's been a few mids watches, I think. If you guys watch the series, and I strongly suggest you should, because it's the greatest example of live field reports, red-pilled principles in action. You're never going to see it anywhere else, ever. And you'll see some situations where the guy's running into an issue, and he's like, all right, I'm just going to add some more alpha to this thing, be more attractive, be less unattractive, I got this. But sometimes the situation has nothing to do with that. It's like, yeah, dude, this is going to be the most beta thing you've ever heard of, but, it might be better to, coddle a little bit, do this. But the goal is, well, I mean, it depends what the goal is. If your goal is just to be attractive, if it's some chick you just met at the bar, who cares? Oh my God, she's so neurotic, she's losing her shit. Did you get laid? Yeah, well, fucking whatever. Yeah, but she broke my honest checks board that I bought in Mexico on a trip. I was like, well, fuck, whatever, it happens. She broke my favorite martini glass. Well, you're never going to see her again. What do you want to do? Tell her to buy you a new one? Just buy another glass and man up. Well, she ruined my sheets because she's got an iron deficiency. I'm like, well, I guess those sheets are done. Not saying these are from personal experience or not, but yeah. Anyways, so in the real world, all these examples happen in one way or another. One female captain came on, ruined the dynamic on the boat. Yeah. And that's the thing. So, like, you get an autistic dude, a soft R artistic dude, talking in the sphere about this. What's the takeaway from this? Oh, women ain't shit. Women are such horrible men. Aren't they bitches, yo? Why can't they just be dudes with tits? And it's like, dude, like, if you're gay, fill your boots. Do what you want. But if you're not gay, stop trying to be gay. No, the table wasn't broken. The stripper kept putting her boobs on it. And you know how you get, like, fingerprints on glass? Well, it was that, but it was like tit prints. And I was getting pissed off because I'm like, those are hard as hell. Like, human oil is hard as hell to get off of this table. And I knew I was going to be hungover the next day. I had my mom come over for dinner. I'm like, I can't ever come down and see all these fucking nipple marks everywhere. Get your tits off my table. Jeez, I forgot about it. It's been a while in that story. Yeah, too specific. But again, it's all fun stories. Coach has zero empathy. Probably not. No glitter. No, that's not a show. That's Fuck Files. That's the book. Dude, if you guys haven't read the book, I really strongly suggest you do. Like, I don't want to say just, I worked really hard on it because, like, fucking, what's his face worked really hard on that movie, that book Sanction, and then he murdered 6 people, and the book is a piece of shit. But there is some good things from it. Like, if you're a guy who has been fucking, you're probably going to recognize a lot of the kind of stories. Maybe the details for you will be different, but you'll recognize that. Like the girl you've barely met and then she wants to sleep with you, or the girl that's got a fiance that she's absolutely in love with but still's jumping your bones, or, you've fallen for that one BPD narcissistic girl and you're doing stupid stuff. Like, these are very common stories. And the idea is it's like 15 stories that should resonate with a guy who's been fucking for a while and has been through, like, the ups and downs of dating. And then some red-pilled lessons, 2 or 3 lessons per story that comes with it. It's a good read. And I'd say for all of you guys, at least 80% of the stories, you should have, like, an equivalent in your own life. And if not, well, then here you go. Here's what being fuckable can be like. Here's the warts and all. Warts and all. There's a trans now. What the hell are you talking about? Tit prints complaints, first world problem. Yeah. And here's the thing. It's like, same as when Clary and Sterling were arguing about how he was just tired of doing porn. He wanted to do something else. Like, if you're a guy who doesn't sleep with chicks on the regular, that probably sounds like an asinine statement. But if you've ever been obsessed about something, gotten good at something, and then you get bored of it, like, it makes sense. Doesn't matter what you do. Eventually, it's going to be like, I'm kind of over it. But you don't see Sterling going and like, porn is the worst thing ever. I'm going to burn all my porn tapes. It's like, no, he's just like, I'm going to try something else. It's good. And that's why everything here is conditional. It's like, is not, every strategy is not use it. That's why we see it as the toolbox analogy, right? It's a tool. If you need the tool to solve the problem, use the tool, throw out the tool when you don't need it. Because your things change. When Sterling's doing just porn star stuff, a lot of the sprinkle alpha on his strategies probably work great. Way to sleep with women, way to be aloof, way to be that. Maybe he wants a wife or a girlfriend later, so he has to start acting more comfortable, less porn starish, and that's great too. Maybe you're in a dead bedroom and your wife stops sleeping with you because she's not finding you attractive. Well, acting more of that like porn star lifestyle stuff might be the way for you. It's going to solve the problem in one of two ways. Your problem is I'm not getting laid. Your problem is my wife's not fucking me. It's that I'm not getting laid, even though guys will frame it like that because they don't have a mental point of origin. It's a great example. Why won't my wife fuck me versus why am I not having sex? It seems like it's the same thing, bro. No, the other one is from her perspective. I need her to do something. My goal involves her changing her behavior, changing how she thinks about things, and changing her opinions about me. That doesn't work. That's manipulative. And it's not just manipulative, it's like overtly manipulative. And that's why it doesn't work. Girls are very good at manipulation. And one of the advantages about being good at manipulation is that you can tell when somebody's trying to manipulate you, especially overtly manipulate you. It's almost like, dude, come on. I wrap guys around my little finger and you're going to try this fucking bullshit on me? Like, at least put some effort into it, right? Beauty and mental point of origin is that it has the effect of manipulating people. And I would say, not in a bad way because everybody has the free choice to do whatever they want. But it's not, it's covert. But you don't really care about it. It's literally just, I'm going to do my thing. And if you want to be part of my life, here's my expectations. And then you do things that encourage people to want to be around you. Things that build your value. Those are all manipulation, by the way. Working out, being hot, being attractive, being able to string a word together, nice teeth, nice hair, pretty brown eyes, all that shit's very manipulative. Somebody sees that, it's like, oh, he's gorgeous. He's gorgeous. I can't wait to sleep with him. Oh, he's got expectations. Son of a bitch. But, I'm just so into him, I'll do whatever. It's her choice. Is it manipulative? Yes. But a baby crying to get picked up, also manipulative. So manipulation isn't inherently bad. Manipulation is just a tool. It's an influencing tool. And it's, again, there's the two things. There's the sneaky fucker routine where, and this is where a lot of because everybody talks about the red pill is great, has all these models. Don't forget, for every good strategy and every good mental model you've seen in the red pill, there is 1,000 piece of shit ones. Give you a great example. There was this guy, and I really wish I could remember, he's probably deleted now, but he had a what to do if you get your girlfriend pregnant. And his strategy involved taking a bunch of Plan Bs, grinding them up, putting them in orange juice in the morning. When you sleep with a girl, bareback, whatever, take Plan Bs, crush them up, put them in orange juice, give her to her breakfast in the morning. And it's like, no. That's a bad strategy. Now, yes, it probably solves the problem of unplanned pregnancies, and you'll never have a baby daddy issue, but it turns out giving medication to somebody without their consent is fucking illegal. At least it was until 2019, 2020. Don't ask me why, I know that now, but whatever. Is that a fucking COVID joke? Yes, that's a COVID joke. Don't worry about it. It's okay now. We won't get banned. Absolutely illegal. And as much as you want to talk about male sexual strategy and positive male identity, I guarantee you're not sleeping with a bunch of chicks in prison. You're just not. But there's that alpha guy who slept with the 3 guards. That's not you. That's the MS-13 drug kingpin who's sleeping with her because he's got her fucking family threatened. Whatever. I don't know if anybody's fake, Billy. You've completely ruined my experience with this chat, by the way. I can't tell if I'm talking to a real person or you're fake George Bruno again, Kind of irritated with you on that. Not funny, man. Not cool. Part of the reason I enjoy doing this, by the way, is because I get to engage with you guys in the chat. But a big part of that is me having to at least remember that, when I see Chin Up or Jack Napier, it's always going to be them and not some fake guy. Love Bomb, Rare Ones. Yeah, well, here, and so there's the one thing in the chat here. You're certainly one of the rare ones, and most people knock in good face. Exceptions. Here's the thing about exceptions. So I'm telling you guys things here as if it's this is the way it is. I've tried to hedge as best I can if I needed to. There's always exceptions. Nothing is ever 100% anything. Understand that just because the tail ends of the bell curve exist doesn't mean you get to ignore the middle of the bell curve. I am talking middle of the bell curve, male and female dynamics. So if you find somebody whose third standard deviation completely different, a chick that actually works well in a male space, acts like one of the boys, gets along just fine, doesn't have any of this pivot shit, none of this female social matrix stuff, great. But you know that's an exception because you've been looking for that top of the bell curve and you just can't find anything. In fact, I would argue for a lot of those guys that say, how do I find a girlfriend? Well, here's the way you do it. Date more, date often, date pleasant, date unpleasant, date shitty, date not shitty, date them all. And for every girl, you know how women ain't shit, right? Well, let women ain't be shit. And if women ain't shit, and eventually one of them does some shit that pisses you off or crosses a boundary or does something you don't like, you walk away. Or you just demote her to plate and I'll just fuck, but then when she wants something more, I'm just like, no. Could be for any reason. Could be for any reason or no reason at all. That's the beauty of your assertive Bill of Rights, which is Manuel Smith. When I say no, I feel guilty. You don't have to be logically consistent. You don't have to make sense. You don't have to be non-emotional with your decisions. You can decide the girl chews her food out of the wrong side of her mouth and ditch her for that. Now, that comes with the consequence of it's ultimately lessening your dating pool. And if your dating pool is big enough that you can afford to throw away those ones, then absolutely act the way you do. Basically describing pre-selection. If a guy has so many options with women that he can have really convoluted and weird expectations and still get away with it and have a healthy sex life, then wow, he must have a lot of value, right? For at least a year, and I would argue not until at least in your 30s, for at least a year, dating a girl, dating multiple girls, maybe there's a couple girls, maybe there's one girl, maybe there's a few, maybe there's one, whatever, and they don't do anything. Not a single red flag, not crossing a boundary, fun, happy sex life, friends like them, you like them. For an entire year, you gave her every excuse to get bounced to the curb. And she fucking flying colors. It's not because she's just the perfect match for you or anything like that. It's because people are invested. It means a girl's invested in you. Best way to know when a girl's invested in you, sleep with her at your place, and then you have to go to work early and just tell her to let yourself out, have some breakfast, whatever. And you come home and she cleans your house for you. That one there is invested. Now, if she just roots through all your stuff, also invested, but possibly not in the way you want. So when you come home to a clean house, dinner's made, girl's not even living with you, wants to hang out with your friends, never had a sideways word. Every time you've mentioned something that you're not a fan of, she's like, doesn't do it. Maybe she was a giant pothead and you're like, you don't do pot, you don't like it because your stepdad did it or whatever. And she like gives up pot to hang out with you. Those are investment signals, and that lets you know when girls invested. And this is what those guys call high quality women or high value women or whatever. And what they don't realize is they think they're describing this girl that's just the perfect unicorn waifu, but they're not. They think they are, but they're not. It's just a girl that's invested. A girl that's invested will act right because they don't want to lose you. In the same way that when you're with a girl you really don't want to lose, you change your behavior. The problem is 9 times out of 10, when a guy changes his behavior to be more accommodating to a girl, the girl is turned off by it and things don't last. 9 times out of 10 on the other side, when the girl accommodates guy's mental point of origin, things tend to last. Praxeology of the dominant male. Most relationships tend to be male dominant. Not male dominating, but male dominant. Guy's in charge. And I don't mean in charge like slave and property. Don't fucking autistic this up, but just he's kind of leading the charge. For those same reasons I talked about like an hour ago with the anxiety and the neuroticism and shit like that, right? So you get all these red-pilled strategies of assholes telling you, like, you need to find this, you need to find this, don't do colored hair, don't find a chick with tattoos, don't find this, don't... And they're talking about all this shit that has nothing to do with the important thing ever. Is she fucking you? Is she respecting your boundaries? And is she adding value to your life? That's the only 3 things you know. And the beauty of those things is they are not static. A person does not have them or not have them. A person chooses to have them, or a person chooses to not have them. See what I mean? And this is why all those listicles of 5 traits of high quality value, whatever the fucks, are just useless. And every red pill guy who tells you that is basically just running his mouth. Because you'll see a guy out there, colored hair, tattoos, on a chick, absolutely adores him, treats him well. Maybe she got fake tits. Oh, well, she belongs in the streets. Well, you know, cleaned up your house while you were gone. Happy to see you. Wants to meet your friends. Plays Xbox. I don't know. Tucson, when in Ontario, specifically Toronto, grab some tasty breakfast with pea meal. Is that something that's only here? That Sunset Grill, by the way, is what he's talking about. They have the pea meal there. It's like old school diner type stuff, but it's like a chain diner. Give it a shot. Yeah, pea meal bacon is like back bacon in Canada, or I guess we call it Canadian bacon, but I think you guys call it back bacon. And they mix it with like split pea soup, but it's almost like just like it was marinated in there. Yeah, Toronto, now that it's open to the public and shit's happening again, it's good. The restaurants are really struggling right now, though. I guess we're doing banter now. Yeah, whatever, 135. Rolling this off with some Bantz. I'm not going to go the full 2 hours. I was only planning on 90 minutes, but it looks like we went a little bit over time with the things. But what if she has a BBL? What's a BBL? I don't even know. All right, so we're going to end off with some Bantz. Yeah, Rich was laughing at me for the longest time with the whole COVID restrictions thing. Toronto basically turned into a fucking dystopic hellhole. And I have no sympathy for the restaurants here, because there was like the restaurant association. They were just clamoring for more lockdowns and shit like that. They were all for it. Because they were hoping that if they just like more masks, more testing, more sanitizer everywhere, that they'd be able to keep open before it's like, nah, shut them down. And so he'd shut down the restaurants, but then he'd open them for a week, and then he'd shut them down for 3 months, then he'd open them, give them like a day's heads up. The supply chain issues are causing food to be harder to find now. So now you're getting an issue where it's amazing. In the past year, so I don't know. Actually, here, let me go in the chat, guys. If you're watching this, check out the live chat. What is tipping like in your city or area? Like, you know, usually you get your Interact machine or your Visa machine. It'll give you the 3 options. Now, I remember it used to be 12, 15, 18. And then all of a sudden COVID hit, and now it's like 18, 25, 30. Crazy shit like that. And because everybody's so out of practice, like the service is so much worse. At first I was like, you know what, whatever, I get it. The restaurants were hit hard. A lot of these people were out of work, and the COVID benefits didn't really help anybody. So, you know, pay a little bit extra, everybody do our part. But it's been like enough time now. It's like, all right, come on. Stop serving me subpar food, subpar ingredients. And they've everything's been raised. Like restaurant prices are probably up like 40% across the board on everything except for the biggest chain restaurants. So yeah, you got 10, 15, 20. See, that's what I remember. And normally you would like the 15 is the standard. Well, I mean, it's voluntary here too. I know there's that like subtle, like you're kind of a prick if you don't. But I'm one of those generous guys. I don't mind tipping. Helps the waitress out. And a lot of the times, and for me, it's like they'll get bare bones if it's just adequate service, if I don't have to complain about it. If I complain about it, sometimes my girl's like, no, we're not tipping. That was fucking miserable. I'm like, all right, fine. But for just showing up and doing your job properly, minimum tip, I'm fine with that. You know, have some extra money. I know waiting is hard. I used to do it. And no, but then, you know, and then you got the top one if it's really good. And then if it's just average and kind of nice, then yeah, middle one, sure, why not? But now it's just kind of like, it really hurts. No, it's not even 15 anymore. It's like 18 minimum, Jimmy. And I'm not even talking about Uber Eats. I'm talking about in-seat. Like, I don't know why people use Uber Eats. That's got to be the laziest shit. Like, if you're going to a restaurant, the whole point of going to a restaurant is to enjoy the restaurant experience. They call it an ambience. Somebody else cooks for you. You sit down, you eat, you have fun. It's social. It's great. Uber Eats is basically saying they'll do that, deliver the food to you so you can eat by yourself in your car. And it takes as much time as it would just to cook the food yourself. So it's like, what's the point of that? And then paying a premium for it. I'm like, you lazy motherfuckers. Yeah, that's the thing. So restaurants are going through a bit of a struggle here right now. There's a couple places that I used to go to that I still go to that are good. Like my ramen place, Asian Ramen on Queen Street is fucking awesome. But I have a feeling you're going to see a big turnover in the next year here with the restaurants in Toronto. And I really hope that some good will come out of it. The shitty ones will close. The good ones will stay open. New ones will start up and everything will get back to normal. Here's hoping. But yeah, that's the problems, man. But then you see all these people bitching about masks and I'm like, fuck you guys. You've just destroyed half the enjoyment of living in a big city. Because like, you know, I won't live in a pod and eat the bugs or whatever. Condos are always small. It's like 850 square feet, under 1,000. Every place is under 1,000 square feet here. Some places are like 500. So it's not the most space. You have to be pretty good with your space management. A lot of people like having the yards and that. The benefit of it, though, is that while your living space is small, everything you could ever need is a 15-minute walk. If you want to get a restaurant, you want to go to the bar, you want to go to a club, you want to go watch a movie, anything you want to do. You want to go to the park, you want to go play at a beach. Everything you need is like a quick walk away, and that's the huge benefit of it. That's a good question. Restaurants in Winnipeg. See, there was this, oh, dude. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but Winnipeg has some awesome restaurants. My buddy used to live down there, and I went to visit him every now and again. There was, and I don't remember the street name, so you're going to have to take it. But there was this Mexican restaurant in just outside of downtown Winnipeg that was just fucking amazing. Like, literally tasted better than the stuff you would find in Roadhouse Diner Mexico. There was this place on the Baja, in between Baja de California Nord and Baja de California Sud, right on the cusp. And it's this little hole-in-the-wall diner in the middle of the desert. And I guess when the Baja runs, like the race runs through, that's like the middle ground there. The food was easily as good as that place. That's still, to date, the best Mexican restaurant I've ever been to. I can't even remember the name of it. But, I mean, go to the border, in between the two Bajas, two states. And this place was that good. And when you asked for things spicy, it wasn't white guy hot. It was like brown guy hot. And I was like, oh, this place is awesome. And then the best burger I've ever had was, there's a hotel that was down there too, and I cannot remember the name of it. But yeah, Winnipeg had great food. So I really hope that restrictions in COVID. Wasn't the joke there's only one street in Winnipeg? Now, Winnipeg's a decent sized city. It's like Edmonton sized, right? But yeah, it's Alberta and Manitoba have the issue where the downtown core is essentially dead and everything happens in the suburbs. It's like the opposite of every other town. It's very strange. Like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, no traffic downtown Edmonton. But if you go to like South Shore, it's insane. It's just because everybody out there works for the oil rigs or has a company contract with somebody working for the oil rigs. They all want to live in the suburbs. They all want their house. And they basically took the city and moved it to the suburbs. Weirdest thing. Well, Carmelo, you're not wrong. Lard is a great ingredient for Mexican food. But the one reason I put this one up there is because they didn't for a lot of their stuff. Because, you know, the girl's a vegan, so she won't eat it. But they managed to get the same flavor and taste without using it. And I was just impressed. Montreal's a better knife light. I mean, it's all trash. But, oh, yeah, don't get me wrong. Montreal, a great city to visit, a horrible city to live in. Toronto, great city to live in, horrible city to visit. Stands to this day. Like, the summer in Montreal is lit. Every weekend you have a new festival. You have Just for Laughs, Juste pour rire. You have F1. You have Fashion Week. Always something happening. The protest week. There's always like a protest festival. You want to go to Crescent Street if you want like the tourist dining experience. That's fine. You go to Sainte Catherine, or you can have like the French dining experience. You go to pubs. Probably one of the best like microbrewery pubs ever is Dieu du Ciel down there. Hammer of God. Fucking awesome. The diners there in Notre Dame are just awesome. There's like the place called the Le Bureau. Fucking great food. Fucking great. Montreal, but that's great. But that's the problem when you live there. The taxes are ridiculous. The bienvenue tax, just for buying or selling a property, doesn't matter if it's new or used, you have to pay like a 3% price of your home tax. And that's just to the government so they can have more social programs. On top of that, you pay your taxes twice a year, and you pay them up front. Most other places I've lived is like the taxes come at the end of the year. No, in Montreal, they're right up at the front. So if you want to buy property, you've automatically got like 20% of the cost of your home up front just on taxes and fees, and you haven't even gotten into the principal yet. Cops are big on meeting quotas. So you always know, like, come the end of the month, it's like, all right, don't drive for the last week of the month, because cops are all looking for quotas. They'll try to pull you over. And all of a sudden, none of them speak English. But at the beginning of the month, everybody's nice and super friendly and that. And you're like, oh, for fuck's sakes. And your French is always bad, so they act really rude and snooty. Taxes on goods, the VAT tax is brutal. Everything is taxed to hell over there. And it's a miserable living experience. The condos were awesome, though. I used to live by probably the best bar in town. It was this place called New City Gas. It was an old tailoring factory, I think it was. And just living across from there in this place called Griffintown. It's like the Liberty Village of Toronto, but for Montreal. Fucking wonderful place. Streets are all under repair and crappy. But then you get to Toronto and everything just works. If you want to go to the gym's good to go. If you want to go to work is easy to access. The metro or the subway system has air conditioning there as opposed to the Montreal one. People aren't diving into the subway to kill themselves once every 3 months, which stalls the thing in 30-degree heat twice a year. Well, they call them technical errors. But if you want to go out to have like the greatest nightlife ever, Toronto's like, it's subpar. You can go to the Loose Moose. That's about the best you're gonna get. But hey, welcome to the cities. The best bar in Dallas got ruined by hipsters, and I don't even want to shit on hipsters because remember what I was talking about being obsessive before? The thing I love about hipsters is they give a shit about something in specific. Like there's a hipster bar, Bar Hop. I think it's on King Street. It's a great place. They had this like iced tea drink they made with like real iced tea, like properly fermented and shit. And hipsters ran the place. Absolutely amazing because they were really obsessed with like cocktail gastronomy shit. Or some of the brew pubs that have like hipsters that are big on making their own microbrews. Great beers. Hipsters can be a good thing. The Loose Moose Knuckle sounds like a stripper joint. No, it's like most Canadian house party in the Rockies. It's a giant log cabin pub in the middle of the city. It's the most Canadian thing you're ever going to go to. That's the only way I can put it. I could see Torsha working there one day. That's the kind of place that she would be at. Except for she'd have to wear more hockey gear and less cleavage clothes, but whatever. When am I going to play you a song on the guitar? Probably fucking never. I'm not trying to serenade you assholes. But I was talking about that on the first channel anyway. Oh, by the way, yeah, if you guys, even if you're not into like Minecraft or playing games and shit like that, it's a casual experience and it's actually pretty good for Red Pilled Space. It's similar to this, but it's 3 days a week and it's mostly audience driven. So really do check out the Digital Ryan channel. It's definitely worth it. Yeah, and my girl just came back from Austin and she wasn't impressed. She's like, the food was great. Same thing, hipsters. But beyond that, I don't know, just wasn't feeling it. Anyways, this is the end of the episode. I think we've bantered for enough. Probably go another 4 minutes in that. Don't forget, Rule 0 is happening after this. I think it's Clary running it. And we're doing the episode again where we talk about, is it even worth trying to red pill fucking people on the internet? Which I'll tell you right now, the answer is no. Most people don't want. They just want to be entertained. So don't try to proselytize because you're wasting your fucking time. Yeah, they probably will. Like I said, the restaurants were good, but I have no idea if that was Texas people or California people. But from what I've heard, she was like, yeah, you could see a lot of the California influence, and California's changed. Like, I remember, I used to love California. Like, I'd go into San Diego, San Francisco a couple times a year from the military back in the 2000s. I hadn't been back since the 2010s, and it was just, it was great. Everything about it was great. I couldn't complain about anything. Except for the one time that car ran over my my one officer. I really liked him. That kind of sucked. I never did find that guy, though. But I went back 2017, something like that. I don't remember. And San Francisco never smelled like piss. You could put 4,000 sailors on the street, and they're drunk as shit, and it still never smelled like piss. And now there's like human feces and piss everywhere and roving gangs. And I'm like, I don't know what California did. I know everybody's got their theories. I don't care. I just mean from like a first impression standpoint. In that last 10 years, whatever happened, that was the cusp. That's when it crossed the line and the roller coaster started shooting down. And it's fucking annoying, man. So I don't like it. So if they're bringing that into Texas, that's going to suck for you guys. And I'm already kind of like on the cusp with American cities, the driver-centric culture. I like walkable cities. If it's going to be a place that I have to drive around, I would rather have like a smaller town, like under 500,000 people kind of thing. Jesus, you guys are killing me. But, you know, whatever. Anyways, Clary's channel. Do what you want, man. I'm not really very political. Like, I'm political myself. Actually, to be fair, this is the funny thing lately. So I know you probably, if you've seen me on Twitter, I'm like tweeting out a lot more Pierre Poilievre shit. Not because I'm a conservative, because I'm not really. It's just like he's the best of the worst options. He's running for the Conservative Party of Canada leadership race against Singh in the NDP, are socialists. Trudy is the LPC, the Liberal Party of Canada. There's Mad Max, the People's Party, which I would like to vote for, which is weird, but it's not because I'm like, he's like a Harper era conservative. It's not so much that I like him, just I hate everybody else. But at the same time, most Canadians don't vote for anybody. This is going to be an ABL election, anything but Liberal. And that happens. Usually 10 years of a Liberal Party running office, people get sick of it and then just vote them out. That's how Harper got in off the tail end of Chrétien. But when it comes to it, am I liberal? Am I conservative? I don't fucking care. I just do my best to vote strategically to get whoever has my best interest at heart in and whoever doesn't have my best interest out. It's always a pick of like, how bad do you want to get fucked? Well, not as bad as this guy. So all right. That's probably why I think that's why Doug Ford's going to win the election in the province here coming up, because his alternatives are just horrible. It turns out everybody was pissed about his handling of COVID, and all of them were basically sitting there preaching how they would have made it so much worse. And I'm like, fuck, man. Well, it's not a super party. That's the thing. It's just a cartel, and parties do that all the time. Technically, the CPC is a mixture of parties, if you didn't know this. The Conservative Party of Canada is a mixture of the Alliance, which is a mixture of progressive conservatives and the Conservative Party of Canada. And there's another conservative thing in there somewhere. But it's like 4 different parties. The Social Creds. So-Creds. So the CPC is actually 4 different parties. So the NDP doing this voting alliance thing with the Liberal Party, it's not unheard of. It's totally normal. Yeah, Ryan, 4 p.m. But I mean, you don't want to hear me talk about Canadian parliamentary politics. That's fucking boring. Let's go. Give us like half an hour. We'll go talk about our dicks with Clary. It'll be fun, and he'll rant. And just to have fun with him, I'm gonna like rub the microphone, give some ASMR shit. Just not being a lunatic. Well, here's the thing. Here, one sec. Let me show you. I was putting a link for the second channel. There it is. So here's the thing. If you see it on the internet, know it's a vocal minority. Absolutely. So when you see, I don't know, for your American politics, when you see the crazy liberals trying to diddle your kids or whatever, just know you wanted to be outraged and you looked out the worst of the worst. Because it turns out normal people don't broadcast normal opinions incessantly on Twitter. Only crazies do, because crazies think they're right and nobody understands them. And then if you're on the Democrat side of things, you just see crazy Republican psychos doing the same thing. Just realize you got 2 ends of the bell curve, both yelling at each other. That makes everybody in the middle think, geez, that other side is crazy. Geez, that other side is crazy. Just remember, crazy people are only crazy on the internet. And just keep that in mind. Anyways, sounds like you need to experience... Oh, Real America? Yeah, whatever. Should I ask? Here, Billy, you know what? All right, whatever. Fuck, we got a minute. Billy, what the fuck are you talking about with Lisa Sparks? Let's get this out of the way, because, I don't know, everybody's kind of tired of you asking. I know who Lisa Sparks is. She was a porn star, right? What the fuck? Why is she, like, a thing? Why is she the thing that we have to talk about? I'll wait. Does anybody know? I looked it up briefly last time, but as soon as I did the search, I'm like, oh, wait, that was a stupid idea. Sure enough, absolutely was. So what's the deal with her, and why do I care? Drink some water, too. Oh, man, I thought you'd have an answer prep for this thing. Vote for the shit that's... I don't know. You guys should just Catan. Like Settlers of Catan, the game? Paul used her picture in one of his videos and I just ran with it. Well, fuck, man. I got guys asking real questions and you're giving me this fucking goofy shit? Come on. We've been over this, man. I take this shit a little bit seriously. And Billy, normally I love your banter. It's kind of funny. But at the same time, there's some guys in here that actually have real things to worry about. And I've only got so much time. So, I don't know. What about her? She has big tits. She's in porn. She got out of porn. She married some pastor or something. Isn't it? That's usually what they end up doing. She managed to sleep with 919 men in 24 hours. Yeah, she's such an exception that does it even fucking matter? Like, are you ever going to run into a chick with a 919 notch count? No. No. So what can you learn from it? Nothing. About as much as you can learn from Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. You're going to learn not a fucking thing. But if I want to get you guys riled up to sell you some fucking merch, I'll talk about Lisa Sparks and Will Smith all day. Maybe I'll do that as like a goofy, like a fucking fake video. What does Lisa Sparks and Will Smith have to teach you about masculinity? And it'll just be a 30-second TikTok with like fucking nothing. Nothing. Anyways. What? Fresh and Fit have a 4-digit body count? All right. Oh, that's like, yeah, okay. You know what? We're devolving. I'm calling it. We're gonna go. I'll see you on Clary's channel. I'm fucking out of here. Fucking hell. Let's end this on a high note.
Charles Bukowski. Jordan Peterson. Neil Strauss. I like these guys. Add some salt to cover up the bitterness of middle-aged soccer moms and put in the oven for 45 minutes. Optionally, you can take from all this stuff what you want and leave the rest. So enjoy Fuck Files. 15 lessons from a decade of women, now on audio.